What's going on YouTube? Hello my tackle hoarders out there. APFA here with a new segment we're adding to the channel. We're calling it Tackle Talk. And today we're going to talk about the Fluke. I started throwing the Fluke late 2018 and wasn't really impressed with it. I was kind of intimidated by the Fluke. I didn't know how to really fish it. So I sat down in the off season, started watching a lot of videos on YouTube on rigging and tips and tricks on the Fluke. If you watch a lot of YouTube, which you probably do, you've heard of tactical bassing. They love the Fluke. Gene Jensen, the Fluke master, he got his name because he loves the Fluke so much. Sawgrass fishing, that's a real good confidence bait for him also. So I was bound and determined to really understand and catch fish on the Fluke. 2019 season, that's all I threw. I was bound and determined, like I said, and it quickly became my go-to bait. If you catch me out on the water, you're either going to see me throwing the Fluke or I have it tied on it in the boat, ready to go. The only time I really don't throw the Fluke is on a very windy day. You can get around that. We'll get into that in a minute. But it's got so many rigging options. You can shaky head it and use it as a bed bait in the spring. You know, a post spawn in the summer, they're actively feeding. It's a real good bait for that. And in fall, when they move into the shallows to feed up for winter, they just kill it. It's very good. But the first thing I want to get into about the Fluke is my Fluke fishing starts in the kitchen. Now, if you own Flukes or you're going to buy Flukes, you want to get into Flukes, this is the video for you. I'm going to tell you how I got started, what I do, how I rig it. I'm no expert on them, but like I said, it's my go-to bait now. It's my confidence bait. I'll throw it. I know I'll catch fish. But when you go out and you buy some Flukes, the majority of you are probably going to go out and you're going to buy a ZOOM Super Salty Fluke, probably. If you go to Tackle Warehouse, it's the best seller in soft jerk baits. For me, it starts in the kitchen. Of course, when you get them at the store or you send for them, they're all going to be bunched up like that. So, like I said, it starts in the kitchen. Get a pot of boiling water, and you have to fix tails. It's a pain in the butt. It's time consuming. That kink you can't have. You have to have these straight. It's not a hard process. It just takes some time, depending on how many packs you buy at one time. I highly recommend this. All the action, what action it has, you know, it depends on how straight that tail is. The straighter the tail, the better the action is going to be. Now, getting into that, when I first bought them, I didn't understand the action behind them. Everybody talks about what a great bait it is, how productive it is. It's a go-to bait for this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. I didn't see it. If you look at a Fluke, that's all it is. It's got that profile of a bait fish for a predator to eat. There's no curly tails, no flappers, no rattles in it. I didn't understand it at first. But once I got to throw it and really concentrating on trying to catch fish on it, I understood what it was doing. It's got the perfect profile of a fleeing baitfish or a dying baitfish, depending on how you fish it. The first thing we're going to get into is what I like to throw for my Flukes. Now, obviously, I've been showing you a ZOOM Super Fluke. They come in a bunch of different sizes. There's a junior, you can drop shot those. There's a standard Fluke, there's a Super Fluke, there's the Magnum Fluke. I left on the wall. Hang on one second. So I showed you guys the Super Fluke, which is pretty much one of my go-tos. I'll show you a Magnum. The Super Fluke is about a 5.5 inch, I believe it is. And the Magnum's a 7. Quite difference in size, as you can see. Much bigger, bulkier bait than your standard. Don't be intimidated by that. I've thrown it. I've got bit on it. Another also another one that I like to throw is the Caffeine Shad by Strike King. I just have the Magnum sitting out right there. A little bit different profile tail there, but it still gets bit pretty good. There's a couple more I like to throw. Just throwing these out there as suggestions for you guys. These are all, I've thrown these, they work, I got bit on them. I like the Yum Houdini Shad. This is the camo color. If you're not familiar with the Houdini Shad, you can do some stuff with this tail if you prefer. If you can, camera picks it up, you can kind of see some perforations in there. Now you can keep it as it is, which is my preference. Or you can take out that center section and fish it that way, which gives it a kind of a faster sink rate because there's less plastic holding it up. You can also take out that center section and cut the tail to give it like the traditional fork tail, like a standard ZOOM Fluke. Or you can take out that center section, cut diagonally, and give it a little bit of thumping tail if you're going to work it faster. I prefer to leave that center section in because it gives that tail a nice little wag back and forth on the way down. The last one I also like to throw is the Doomsday Tackle Lagging Dragon. You can see it's got a different profile completely. The thing I like about this is it's got the double hook pocket there. That's the belly. That's the back. So you can rig it up straight very, very easily. You know, double hook guides there. Hook pockets, if you want to call it that. Get it rigged straight. Obviously, you want to rig them straight on the hook. Gives it good action. We'll get into rigging in a second. Colors. I don't know what to tell you about colors. Every color I throw gets bits. I have a ton of different colors. We'll just go over a few that really work for me. If you're a subscriber, you know I'm working with Dwayne's Custom Baits. So I had him make me some. My main forage in the waters that I fish is bluegill. So I asked Dwayne to make me a bluegill with a chartreuse tail. If you ever seen a bluegill in the water, if you look at its tail fin, it's got like a chartreuse tinge to it, hint to it. Green pumpkin, purple flake, chartreuse tail. A standard color a lot of companies make. This is a Zoom color. This is watermelon moon dust. That's a good color. The color I did best on though, that I threw a lot of, was this orange melon. You got that watermelon with black flake and the orange belly. I did very good on that color, but before I got hooked up with Dwayne there, I threw multiple different colors. You know, watermelon red, pearl belly, baby bass, kind of like a smoke shad color. I even went a little crazy. I keep them pretty much as natural as I can get. This is a color by Big Bite Baits. Got bit on that. Got on this, bit on this kind of like baby bass color. Got bit on this color, whatever it is. This is a Berkeley, I think. All in the same day, all got bit. So I don't know how much key color plays with this bait. All I know is whatever color I throw, I'm going to get bit. Alright, let's go over rigging. I like to rig these weightless on an extra wide gap hook. I like a thicker hook, like a superline hook. This is going to be no surprise to you, but the number one hook I like to throw them on is a nice thick gauged extra wide gap hook. Gives it extra weight on the way down. This is a Vector 4/0 extra wide gap hook. So I use that for the Super Flukes, the Dragon, the Houdini Shads, any of the standard size stuff I throw. On the Magnums, I like a 7/0 extra wide gap. I use Owner right now. Fits them fine, no problem. I throw the smaller ones on mono, on spinning, and I throw the larger ones on bait casting with braid. We'll get into why that is in a minute. You can throw the smaller ones on bait casters, but I prefer to throw it on spinning. I get farther casting distance on it with spinning than I do with a bait caster. So, like I said, I like to rig these up on an extra wide gap, superline hook on mono, and I'll fish the smaller ones, the standard Fluke style baits. These get thrown into the shallows. Next appears, next boats sitting on the racks, and I'll mimic a dying bait fish there. With the smaller ones, I just like a flick of the wrist. You know, it's almost fishing like a hard jerk bait. Just pop, pop, pause. And on the pause, they'll have a nice little shimmy on the way down. Okay? On the tap, tap, you know, flick of the wrist, you get them darting back and forth, and then stop. Warmer weather, I'll have it acting like a bait fish fleeing from a predator. So I'll have a tendency to pop, pop, reel in some slack, pop, 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 reel in some slack, pop, pop, pop. Keep it moving, dart and stop, dart and stop. Colder weather, overcast days, I'll slow it down, tap, tap, let it fall a little bit. Tap, tap, tap. Just change up your cadence, you'll see what the fish want to do. You can't work them too aggressive, but you can work them too fast. If you're constantly popping the thing and reeling, you're going to get it popping out of the water. You'll see the nose come up and start hopping out of the water. Some days that's good, some days that's bad. My personal experience from these is if you have it popping out of the water like that, the fish have a more tendency to miss it. So I like to keep the smaller flukes down in the water, so it's just flick of the wrist. Pop, pause, pop, 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 pause, pop, pause. You get into it, you start fishing it, you'll see it in the water. You know, once you start working them, it's almost a subsurface bait. You'll see the action in it, and once you see it popping out of the water, just slow down or you're popping it too aggressive. You know. The Magnums though, I can fish those a little bit faster. It's a bigger profile, a bigger target for them to hone in on, but your bite percentages go down. These will get fished in more open water and heavier cover. It's a bigger, bulkier bait. It's going to weigh more. You got a way bigger hook in there. So you can get away fishing these in deeper water. It takes much less time to get something that's down there deeper, faster, obviously. So those will stay down in the water column more. Those you can pop faster before you'll get them out of the water hopping like that. Like I said though, I fish these on a 7/0 on braid. Reason why I throw these on braid, it gets thrown in the thicker cover, and I have a problem with northerns. So I don't want the northern necessarily just to bite through my mono. If you're throwing them with braid, you got a much better chance of landing that fish instead of losing your hook, your bait, retying, getting back out there. Now with the smaller ones, like I said, mono, spinning gear, those fish will see this bait much longer, and I'll pause this much longer. So I like to use, you can use floral on it too, but mono, just to get a hesitant fish to bite. So these get paused more, obviously. We went over colors. We went over colors, we went over rigging. We'll go over what rods I like to use line in a second. Let me go grab that stuff. I'll be right back for you guys. Okay, rigging. This is my standard Fluke on spinning gear. This is just a 6.6 medium heavy, medium action tip on there. It's a Cabela's rod, nothing special with that. I still have these rigged on from earlier in the season. You can see, hopefully the camera will pick that up. This one's seen better days up in the nose. I caught a couple of fish on that. Like I said, that's an orange melon color on that. Polymer knot, nothing special there. 4/0 EWG. And I still have a Magnum. Tied on. You can see the big old 7/0 EWG. Like I do. Just go straight through the nose. Then you want to expose that hook in there. To get it, it comes through, these come through cover very, very easily. I haven't got hung up yet on this setup at all. Like I said, braid. This is rigged up, I believe, on another Cabela's. This is a Pro Guide rod. I'm not sure the length on this. This has got to be another like 6.6 rod with a Black Max Abu Garcia reel on it. Like I said, nothing special. I like the shorter rods. I would stop tinging it off of everything. I like a shorter rod when I work these, just for the fact that I have a tendency to keep my rod tip down, to keep the fluke down in the water. Because like I said, you're just reeling, pop, pop, reel, reel, pop, 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 reel, you know. So a shorter rod suits me well, just to keep my rod tip out of the water. So I go with the 6.6, 6 foot would work. You know, nothing real fancy with that. Like I said, it's a cheaper Shimano reel on the spinning, and the Abu Garcia Black Max on the casting. But you guys gotta try them out. Like I said, all year round I throw these spring, summer, fall, no problem. Just a simple little bait. I encourage you guys to go out and try these. Watch more videos. I'm no expert on this, like I said, but it always gets bit. Just simple little bait. Nothing flapping. You know, no curly tails on it. No claws going crazy on it. But get it out there, practice it. And I'm telling you, tap, tap, pause. You'll just see it dart back and forth. Then you pause it and it just flutters down like a wounded bait fish. Tons of rigging possibilities. Look up the donkey rig or the double fluke rig. That's an awesome setup. You can change colors on that. If you don't know what the donkey rig is you take, it's kind of hard to explain. It's a double barrel swivel setup, and you have 2 flukes working almost crazy. Look it up on YouTube. I don't have a video on it yet, but it's crazy what that can do. And another thing you can do with that double fluke rig is you can take something like this and something like this and have the one trying to chase the other one down to trigger a predator fish to come in and eat one, or a couple of predator fish come in and eat 2. It's an awesome setup, the double fluke rig. Like I said, you can shaky head these and throw these on beds, and it just looks like a bait fish. I should do a video on a tank test on that for you guys. A bait fish feeding on the bottom after their eggs. Just drives them nuts. Gets them mad real quick. Like I said, you can get the juniors and you can drop shot those. Endless possibilities. Just give them a shot. Look on YouTube for actual footage of them in the water. I obviously don't have any of that, but stick with it. It'll catch fish. It'll catch fish, and you won't be disappointed once you get into it. It's such an awesome bait. It'll become your confidence bait. I'm telling you, any time of the year, any situation, except for windy, you're probably only going to throw the magnums due to the fact once you pause it, you got to kind of keep an eye on your line. You might see a tick or take off in a direction. Then you know you got a fish on and set the hook. But my experience with working these, they like to chase it down and eat it. You can always feel the hit before you see it. That's another good aspect on these, but another good point though, like I said though, kind of if you pause it, watch your line there, they might eat it. But it's been long enough. Give the Fluke a try. Hopefully I covered everything you need to know. If I missed anything, shoot me a comment. I'll try to answer your questions, or if you want to see more additional videos on a fluke like that, let me know. But I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for checking out this video and sticking with me this long. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, leave me a comment. They're always welcome. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.